What's good, people? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me. So today we're going to talk about some common DJ mistakes. So this is going to be a super constructive video. I'm going to tell you the mistake, I'm going to explain why it's a mistake, and then I'm going to give you some solutions so you don't make the mistake in the future. But before I start, real quick, if you could do me a huge favor and hit the like button down there for the almighty algorithms, and if you don't yet subscribe, hit the subscribe button. That way you're the first to know when I drop a new vid. But anyway, let's get right into this. So the first mistake I want to talk to you guys about is mixing too slow. Now, before you even start, I get it, okay? Mixing is an art. Art is subjective. Everybody has their own style. There's no right and wrong way, yada, yada, yada. It's all about how you interpret the art, okay? Don't tell me how to mix. I get that, okay? I get that. I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong way. I'm just saying that if you're mixing with the goal of keeping your dance floor packed, then I'd probably not play that second verse, you know what I mean? Hear me out. People have short attention spans, less than a goldfish, right? Or whatever they say. So if you play a song for the entire 4 minutes, people have been doing the same two-step for 4 minutes straight, there's a good shot that some of those people are going to take that opportunity to go get another drink, or to go to the bathroom, or to leave. In general, just leave the whole place. Quick mixing is a beautiful thing to keep a dance floor packed because you're constantly keeping people guessing. You're constantly hitting them with new fire, getting a new ooh, right? That new oh, like every time you hit something, right? You're constantly switching it up and you're keeping them engaged. And if it's done correctly, people get lost in the music, right? You get lost in the mix. You're having such a great time dancing and everything else. Before you know it, a half hour's gone by. Your legs hurt now. Now, if you're not aware, the general rule with quick mixing is you want to play the best part of every song. And when I say best part, the best part is determined by what you like and what you think your crowd is gonna like, right? So every crowd is different, every DJ is different, so you might interpret this differently, obviously, but you generally wanna play the best part of every song. Now, every song is different. So some songs, the best part is just the chorus. So you might just wanna play the chorus and be out, and that's it. Some songs, the best part is that first verse, and then you play the chorus, and then you're out. Some songs, everybody knows the entire thing, and if you cut it off early, you can get punched in the throat. So you want to play the entire song. So there are those exceptions, but most of the time, like 99% of the time, you really want to just do a verse, a chorus, and get out. If you're using the instrumental outros to mix out, you are mixing too slow. But anyway, while we're on the subject of mixing, I want to talk about a huge mistake that a lot of DJs make, and that is mixing two songs together that sound like shit, but they mix them together just because they're the same BPM. Do you know what I mean? There's not like I can't think of like a one sentence kind of like, quick way to say it. Like essentially, just because two songs are the same BPMs does not mean they go together at all. You got to take other things into account, right? Is it at the right key? Does it sound like good together? Is it a similar beat? You know what I mean? If you're mixing two songs together and it just sounds like messy, it sounds like all over the place, you can't really like pick things out, it's just like a lot of noise, then they probably shouldn't be together. If you're mixing two songs together and they don't sound like they're in key, like they sound off, almost like if you're at a karaoke bar and you hear a really bad singer, and you can tell they're really bad because like they're off, their pitch is off, it just doesn't match, right? Now, as a DJ, you should have an ear for this. Your ear will evolve as time goes by. If you're not sure about a certain mix you're trying to make work, maybe record it and then listen back to it and, try and see how it sounds, see if you like how it goes together. But just as a general rule, try and make your sets make sense. Try and make them flow. Try and make them kind of be on the same wavelengths, Don't go from here to here to here to here to here to here, even if it's all in the same BPM, because it's not going to work. It's going to sound bad. So this next mistake is super, super common. It's unreal. It boggles my mind how many DJs do this. It's unreal. It's just crazy, and it needs to stop, and it drives me up a wall. Like it drives me nuts every time I friggin' hear it. And that mistake is scratching beyond your means. Now, when I say scratching beyond your means, I mean that when you're DJing live in front of people, whether on Twitch or in person or whatever, you're doing a live set, you try and do a scratch that you don't know how to do live in front of people. Hear me out. Scratching is a very, very precise art, like very, very precise. Whether it's the easiest scratch in the world or the most complicated scratch in the world, it takes very, very precise movements by either the platter or the fader or both combined. So the fact that it's a very, very precise thing to do means that it goes from 0 sounding like absolute shit to great. There's no middle ground, right? If you don't know how to do it, if you don't have the scratch perfected, it's going to just sound like noise. There's no other way around it. Scratching is a tough thing because it takes a lot of repetition, a lot of practice, a lot of muscle memory. You have to build up your tendons in here almost like a workout over and over and over again until you get it down. And once you do, it's great. But in between there, you suck every step of the way. You have to literally listen to yourself suck over and over and over and over again until all of a sudden you're like, oh, I think I'm chirping. I'm chirping. Mom, chirping! You know what I mean? So with that in mind, I really don't understand why so many DJs do these different scratches, like try and like execute these scratches live, and it just sounds terrible. They're ruining their mix. A lot of these DJs can mix very well. They're good DJs. But then they go and try and do some kind of scratch that they don't know how to do, and it sounds horrible. Like, don't do it. Practice it at home. Look, this might be hard for some people to hear, but trust me on this. Practice and perfect all the scratches you want to learn how to do ahead of time before you bring it out and try them live. You're just making yourself look bad. Whether you're a DJ or not, people know when something sounds bad. I can't tell you how many times I was watching a DJ on Twitch, and then they'd try and do some kind of scratch thing, and my girl across the room's like, whoa, that sounded like shit. What was that? You know what I mean? She's not a DJ. She don't know anything about scratching, but she knows when there's just like a stupid noise over top of a mix, right? And that's all it is. You're just making a stupid noise over top your mix. You're making yourself look bad. Like, stop doing it. Just practice the cut. And once you have it down, once you are precise with it and you're doing it correctly, then it'll go from sounding like shit to being musical and beautiful and a great ass time. So the practice will be worth it, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of consistency. All right, so now let's talk about emceeing. A super big common mistake I see DJs make as far as emceeing is emceeing too much. Like going non-stop on the microphone 3 times a song. So it goes without saying that if you're on the mic all the time, obviously it's going to get annoying to people. Just keep this in mind when you're emceeing and when you're performing live, right? When you're DJing and you have a dance floor, you want to keep everybody's 2-step, right? You want to keep the beat going. You want everybody to keep that 2-step going. Well, if you turn the music down and scream on the mic 3 times a song, 15 times a song, all the time, people aren't going to be able to keep their 2-step. You're interfering with the music. You have to find balance in that. If you do it too much, you're just going to annoy people. And this is especially true when it comes to weddings, because you got to realize weddings are all about the couple. The couple just got married. Everybody's there for them, including you. If you MC too much, if you make it all about you, you're going to easily piss off the guests, piss off the couple. It's just not going to be a good time. MCing is very, very important, and it's super, super useful when done correctly and all that great stuff. But if you overdo it, if you do it too much, it's just not a good thing at all. Less is more. So just think about that before you sing along to the next song, or every 5 seconds, like ad-libbing. Just think about that, okay? Unless you're Tiesto or some shit, it's never about you. It's always about the crowd. Now, while we're on the subject of MCing, another big mistake I see a lot of DJs make is the phony voice or whatever, you know, the come on guys, all right, ladies and gentlemen, or whatever. I think it's hilarious whenever I hear it. Look, there's definitely levels. Obviously, I was like over exaggerating it. I mean, if you actually do that, bruh. Stop that. Like, now, don't ever do that. See, the best advice I can give you when it comes to emceeing is when you speak on a microphone, just sound genuine. Just like anything else in life, you want to be genuine, you want to come off as genuine. People are going to respond better when you sound genuine. You're being genuine. So when you change your voice, the second you get on a microphone, when you're not speaking regular and you're, you know, over, like, you know, I can't even do it. Just, you know what I'm talking about. Don't do that. It's a terrible thing to do. Inflection is very, very important. It's something you should do. When I speak on the mic, I speak louder. I speak from my belly button, right? Which is something you want to do. You want to inflect. That way you can command a room. You can cut through the music with your voice, right? It's very, very important. So change your voice in that aspect, but don't change the tone of your voice. Don't change how you speak. Don't put on this shtick. Nobody likes that. And everyone will realize you're doing it, like, immediately. They're gonna, oh, wow, here's another one of those MCs. Ooh, come on, guys. So this next one has a little bit to do with business, and I never talk about business stuff, but this is a super important one. It's something that drives me up a wall, and I figured I would, you know, throw it on here in hopes of, you know, turning someone's life around. If one person watches this and stops doing this mistake, you know, I succeeded. I succeeded. I'm a happy man. And this mistake is undercutting. Undercutting is one of the worst things you can do to our industry. Let me explain. Let's take an imaginary town. Let's say Smithville, USA, right? So we're in Smithville, USA, and there's 5 DJ companies in Smithville, USA. All 5 DJ companies are just as good. They're all talented. They all show up. They all do a great job at weddings, right? They all do weddings. They have a good crew, good reputation, your family-owned business, whatever. They're all the same, right? They're all great companies. 4 of those companies charge $2,000 to do a wedding. 1 of those companies charges $1,000. Now, where's all the clients going to go? First off, they're all going to go to the cheaper company, right? Because they're cheaper. And if you're an undercutter watching this, you might be saying right now, well, duh, Nick, that's why I undercut, because then I get all the clientele. Ha, 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 look at me. I made a bunch of money this year because I'm undercutting, right? But see, you're failing to see the big picture, homie. Look at it from the client's perspective, right? So if you're a client, you're looking for a DJ, and these 5 DJ companies are all the same. They're all just as good, but one's $1,000 and the other 4 are $2,000. What are you going to think as a client? You're going to think that the correct price of a DJ should be $1,000 and that the other 4 companies that are charging $2,000, are overcharging. They're overcharging. They're trying to rip people off. They're getting greedy. They're trying to make too much money. So screw them. I'm never going to give them business because they're just too expensive. I'm always going to give my business to the $1,000 DJ. Then let's say that client has a friend that's also getting married and they recommend that DJ company, but that DJ company's booked. What advice may she give her friend? She may say something like, Gina, listen, when you shop around, don't you pay more than $1,000. I paid $1,000. I had the best DJ ever. There's some companies out there like $2,000. It's just too much and they do the same shit. Just pay the $1,000. So now Gina's friend is going to go looking for a $1,000 DJ company instead of a $2,000. They're not even going to even consider a $2,000 DJ company. So you undercutting brought the entire industry down. And I don't understand why people do it, because you can just as easily charge the same amount of money as your competitors if you're just as good. The only reason why you would undercut or be cheaper than your competitor is if you weren't as good. So if you're pricing your DJ services according to skill and you think that you're not as good as your competitor, so you think you should be a little bit of a better deal, that's one thing. I don't know about you, but every single company I've ever heard of undercutting also claims to be the best DJs ever. They always claim, oh, we're the best and we're awesome and we kill it. Oh, and do you want our $6.95 special? Like, it's always in the same sentence. So if you're just as good as your competitors, but you're half the price, that literally makes no sense. Just charge the same price as your competitors, make the extra money, and support our overall industry. Don't take the easy way out and be dirt cheap just so you can book a bunch of weddings. It's just a stupid thing to do. It makes no sense, and no one's gonna like you. Nobody. And this brings me to my final mistake that a lot of DJs make, and this is just an honorable mention. I'm including it in the video because I think it's important, and maybe someone needs to hear this. So if so, share it with them. Don't be a douche. No, but seriously, like, DJs do have a reputation of being cocky, being, full of themselves or whatever. And all we do is press play and make people dance, while it's an art, while it's a skill, while it takes a certain type of person to do what we do. And, I think it's a very important job and all that. There's no reason why we should ever be cocky. I made a whole tutorial on this. It's basically step-by-step on how to untool bag yourself. So if you want to check that out, totally do. But, but just in general, if you talk in the third person, you're kind of a tool, like if you think of yourself as like a little cooler than everybody else, you're kind of a tool. Just come back to earth and remember the great words from Kendrick Lamar. Sit down, be humble. That's it, people. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. Did I miss any mistakes? Leave them in the comments. Let me know what you think and whatnot. And I'll see you guys next video. Later.